Commander Jake Morrison wiped sweat from his forehead as he checked the control panel of the deep space mining vessel, Aurora's Dawn. The ship had been floating through the asteroid belt of the Kepler 442 system for 3 weeks now, and everything was going perfectly normal. His crew of 12 humans was doing exactly what they came here to do, which was finding valuable minerals and bringing them back to Earth. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez sat at her scanner station drinking coffee from a metal cup. She watched the green dots on her screen that showed different asteroids floating around their ship. Each dot told her what kind of metals and rare materials were inside the space rocks. Some had iron and some had gold, but the really exciting ones had platinum and other expensive stuff that Earth needed for making computer parts and spacecraft engines. Maya pressed a button and spoke into her headset to tell the mining teams what she found. The scanner shows asteroid number 7 has lots of platinum inside it, she said to Ben Parker, who was getting ready to go outside in his spacesuit. Ben was the chief engineer, and he knew how to blow up asteroids safely so they could collect all the good materials from inside them. Meanwhile, very far away from the human ship, something else was happening that Jake and his crew had no idea about. 3 parsecs away, which is a really long distance in space, there was a big meeting happening on an alien world. The aliens looked like giant octopuses with purple skin, and they were very upset about something. Admiral Kexthal was the leader of these aliens, and he was waving his tentacles around because he was worried and angry. The aliens were called Zephyrians, and they had been watching the human ship for weeks without the humans knowing it. The Zephyrians had special technology that made their observation posts completely invisible to human eyes and machines. They built these hidden stations inside asteroids so they could spy on anyone who came into their territory. The problem was that the humans kept blowing up the asteroids that had the secret alien bases inside them. Admiral Kexthal looked at the big screen in their meeting room that showed videos of the human mining operations. Every time the humans used their explosives to break apart an asteroid, the Zephyrians lost another spy station. In just 2 weeks, the humans had destroyed 17 of these expensive observation posts, and the aliens thought it was being done on purpose. The human vessel continues its systematic destruction of our forward defensive positions, Admiral Kexthal told the other alien leaders at the meeting. They eliminate our installations with perfect accuracy, and they show no mercy for our technology. The aliens did not understand that humans could not see their invisible spy stations at all. Back on the Aurora's Dawn, Ben Parker was putting on his thick spacesuit and checking his equipment. The spacesuit had to keep him alive in the cold, empty space where there was no air to breathe and the temperature was hundreds of degrees below freezing. He grabbed his bag of mining charges, which were small bombs designed to crack open asteroids without destroying the valuable materials inside. Ben's partner, Lisa Grant, was staying inside the ship to operate the remote control that would make the bombs explode at exactly the right time. Lisa had been working on mining ships for 8 years, and she knew exactly how much explosive to use for each different type of space rock. Too little, and the asteroid would not crack open properly, and too much would turn everything into tiny pieces that were impossible to collect. Ben floated through space using his jetpack to reach the asteroid that Maya had marked as target number 7. The space rock was about the size of a school bus, and it was spinning slowly as it drifted through the asteroid belt. Ben used his drill to make holes in the rock where he would place the explosive charges. He had no idea that deep inside this asteroid was a Zephyrian communication relay station that had taken 3 years to build and cost millions of alien dollars. While Ben was working outside the ship, Maya was studying her scanner readings and making notes in her computer about what they were finding. The asteroid belt in this system was much richer in valuable materials than Earth Command had expected when they sent the Aurora's Dawn on this mission. Maya thought they might be able to fill their cargo hold and head home 2 months early, which would make everyone happy because they would still get paid for the full 6-month mission. Chief Engineer Ben Parker finished placing his explosive charges in the asteroid and used his jetpack to fly back to the ship. He told Lisa Grant through his radio that everything was ready for detonation. Lisa checked her control panel to make sure Ben was safely away from the blast area. Then she pressed the button that sent the signal to detonate the charges. The explosion lit up space with a bright flash that lasted only a few seconds. When the light faded away, the asteroid had split into dozens of smaller pieces that the ship's collection arms could grab and pull into the cargo hold. Ben and Lisa had successfully completed another routine mining operation, but they had also just destroyed an alien communication station that connected two star systems. The Zephyrian observers, who were watching from other hidden locations, saw the explosion and recorded every detail. Their computers analyzed the blast and concluded that the humans had weapons technology far beyond anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. The humans could detect invisible targets through solid rock and destroy them with perfect precision. This was terrifying news for the Alien Empire. Commander Jake Morrison was happy with how the mission was going so far. His crew was working well together, and they were finding more valuable materials than expected. The ship's systems were all working perfectly, and nobody had gotten sick or injured, which sometimes happened on long space missions. Jake sent a routine report back to Earth Command saying that everything was normal and they were making good progress. What Jake did not know was that his routine mining mission had just started what would become the biggest war in galactic history. The aliens thought the humans were attacking their territory on purpose, and they were getting ready to fight back with everything they had. 5 different alien species were already calling emergency meetings to discuss what to do about the human invasion. The Aurora's Dawn continued its slow journey through the asteroid belt, looking for more valuable space rocks to crack open and harvest. The crew had no idea that every bomb they used was being seen by alien watchers as an act of war against the galactic community. 2 months had passed since the Aurora's Dawn began its mining mission, and Captain Steve Collins was reading a message that just arrived from Earth Command through the long-range communication system. The message made him smile because it contained really good news for his crew. Earth Command was so happy with the quality of minerals they were finding that they wanted to extend the mining operation for 4 more months. Steve walked through the ship's corridors to find his crew members and tell them about the extended mission. Most of the crew was in the main eating area having lunch and playing card games during their break time. When Steve announced that they would be staying 4 more months instead of going home, everyone cheered and started talking about how much extra money they would make from the bonus payments. What the humans did not know was that their decision to stay longer was being watched very carefully by alien spies who were hidden in the asteroids around them. The Zephyrian Empire had secret observation posts throughout the asteroid belt, and they recorded everything the humans did. When the aliens saw that the mining ship was not leaving after 2 months, they thought this meant something very different. Admiral Kextel received an urgent report from his intelligence officers about the human ship staying in Zephyrian territory. The report said that Earth had made a decision to permanently occupy this star system, which was an act of war according to galactic law. The Admiral called an emergency meeting with military leaders from 3 different star systems to discuss how to respond to this human invasion. The alien military commanders gathered in a huge meeting room with walls covered in star maps and tactical displays. General Vixandra of the Corvanian Federation attended the meeting through a holographic projection because her species lived too far away to travel there in person. She listened as Admiral Kexthal explained that the humans were not just passing through their territory, but were planning to stay forever and claim it as their own. Back on the Aurora's Dawn, Dr. Amy Watson was having the best time of her scientific career. Amy was the ship's expert on rocks and minerals from other planets, and she had discovered something amazing in the asteroid samples they were collecting. The space rocks in this system had crystal formations that she had never seen before, and some of them contained what looked like fossils of ancient alien creatures. Amy spent hours every day in her laboratory using powerful microscopes and chemical testing equipment to study the strange materials they were finding. She was so excited about her discoveries that she asked Captain Steve Collins if they could extend their mining operations into the inner parts of the asteroid belt where the really old space rocks were floating. Dr. Amy Watson did not know that the inner asteroid belt was the most sacred place in Zephyrian culture. The aliens called it the Ring of Ancestors because it contained the preserved remains of the first Zephyrians who had learned how to travel between stars thousands of years ago. When the alien observers saw the human ship moving deeper into this holy region, they thought it was the worst possible insult to their entire civilization. The Zephyrian religious leaders held emergency prayer meetings and declared that the humans were committing acts of desecration against their most important cultural sites. They demanded that their military do something to stop the human invasion. Before more damage could be done to the sacred Ring of Ancestors, Security Officer Ryan Cooper was working the night shift when he noticed something strange on the ship's sensor readings. The sensors were designed to detect other spacecraft or dangerous objects floating in space, but for the past few weeks they had been picking up weird energy signals that did not match anything in the computer's database. Ryan studied the sensor data and saw patterns that looked like advanced technology was operating somewhere nearby, but he could not see anything with the ship's cameras or visual scanners. The energy readings were too organized and complex to be natural space phenomena, but they were not responding to any of the standard communication signals that human ships used to talk to each other. Ryan wrote a report about the strange energy signatures and filed it in the ship's computer system. He marked it as unusual but not dangerous because whatever was out there was not trying to attack them or interfere with their mining operations. Ryan had no idea that what he was detecting was the largest military buildup in galactic history. As 5 different alien species prepared their war fleets, navigation, Officer Carlos Martinez was planning the ship's route through the asteroid belt using detailed maps and computer calculations. Carlos wanted to make sure they visited every asteroid that contained valuable minerals while also avoiding space rocks that were too dangerous to approach. His job was to find the most efficient path that would let them collect the maximum amount of materials in the shortest possible time. Carlos announced during the morning crew meeting that he had designed a new flight pattern that would take them through sectors 7 through 12 in a spiral formation. This route would let them examine every promising asteroid while using the least amount of fuel for their engines. The crew thought this was a smart plan that would help them finish their work faster. What Carlos did not know was that alien military analysts were studying every move the human ship made and trying to understand their strategy. When the aliens saw the spiral flight pattern, they thought it was a new type of psychological warfare designed to confuse and terrorize enemy forces. The unpredictable movement looked like something that would make it impossible for alien weapons to target the human ship. The spiral pattern also meant that the Aurora's dawn would pass very close to many more hidden alien observation posts that were built inside asteroids throughout the belt. Each time the humans mined an asteroid that contained a secret base, the aliens lost another expensive piece of military equipment and became more convinced that the humans had incredible abilities to detect hidden targets. Communication Officer Tony Blake was getting frustrated with his equipment because he could not establish contact with space traffic control for the Kepler 442 system. Tony had been sending out standard mining operation notifications for 2 months, but nobody ever responded to his messages. He thought the space traffic control system for this area must be broken or abandoned, though Tony did not know that his messages were being received by alien listening posts throughout the star system, but the aliens could not understand what he was saying. Human communication technology used completely different frequencies and encoding methods than the standard galactic communication protocols. Every message Tony sent sounded like meaningless noise to the alien receivers, but they recorded everything and sent it to their best scientists for analysis. The alien scientists spent weeks trying to decode the human messages and finally concluded that the humans were using encryption technology so advanced that it was impossible to break. This made the aliens even more afraid because they thought the humans were discussing secret military plans that no other species in the galaxy would be able to understand. The Galactic Defense Coalition had not held an emergency meeting for over 200 years, but now representatives from 47 different alien species were gathering on the neutral planet called Sanctuary Prime. The meeting hall was enormous, with floating platforms that could support different types of alien life forms, from water-breathing creatures to beings made of living crystal. Everyone was talking at once in dozens of different languages, creating a noise that sounded like chaos. Ambassador Zilkuth of the Andromedan Collective was one of the most respected diplomats in the galaxy, and when he stood up to speak, everyone else became quiet. His species looked like tall, thin beings with blue skin and large eyes that could see many different colors of light. Zilkuth had lived for over 300 years and had never seen the galactic community so frightened about anything. The humans have demonstrated military capabilities that exceed our worst fears, Ambassador Zilkuth told the assembled representatives. They can destroy our most advanced defensive installations without any warning, and they show absolutely no interest in communicating with us through normal diplomatic channels. Their weapons can penetrate solid rock and eliminate targets that our own sensors cannot even detect. Back on the Aurora's Dawn, communications officer Tony Blake was having another frustrating day trying to contact someone in the local space traffic control system. Tony had been sending out the same standard messages that mining ships were supposed to broadcast when they entered a new star system. These messages contained basic information about who they were and what they were doing there, and asked for permission to conduct mining operations. Captain, I am still not getting any response from space traffic control, Tony reported to Steve Collins during the morning briefing. The communication channels for this entire system seem to be completely dead. I have tried every frequency that Earth Command gave us, but nobody is answering our calls. Tony had no way of knowing that his messages were being received by dozens of alien listening posts throughout the star system, but the aliens could not understand anything he was saying. Human communication technology worked on completely different principles than the communication systems used by galactic civilization. To the aliens, Tony's messages sounded like random electronic noise that might be some kind of advanced encryption. The Coalition's top military expert, Fleet Admiral Krathanis, was showing battle footage to the emergency assembly. The footage came from hidden surveillance cameras that the aliens had placed on asteroids throughout the Kepler 442 system. The video showed Ben Parker in his spacesuit placing explosive charges on space rocks before floating back to his ship and detonating them. Look at their mining technique, Fleet Admiral Krathanis said as the holographic display showed the human demolition work. Every movement is precise and calculated and devastating. They can destroy targets through several kilometers of solid matter using what appears to be basic engineering equipment. Our intelligence analysts believe these are not even their primary weapon systems. The alien military leaders watched the footage over and over again, trying to understand how human technology could be so much more advanced than their own. They saw Ben Parker's methodical approach to placing explosive charges and concluded that humans had developed engineering skills that were thousands of years beyond anything in galactic civilization. Meanwhile, on the Aurora's Dawn maintenance, Chief Rachel Moore was dealing with what she considered the biggest crisis of the entire mission. The ship's coffee-making machine had broken down 3 days ago, and the crew was starting to get grumpy without their morning caffeine. Rachel was determined to fix the machine before the crew started complaining even more than they already were. I do not care if we are in the middle of nowhere, Rachel told Lisa Grant while they worked on taking apart the coffee machine. We are going to fix this thing, or everyone on this ship is going to mutiny, and it will be your fault if I cannot get it working again. Their loud discussion about coffee machine repairs was being picked up by alien surveillance equipment and transmitted to intelligence analysts who were trying to understand what the humans were talking about. The alien computers translated words like fix and machine and working, but could not understand the context, so they concluded that the humans were having heated discussions about military equipment maintenance. Dr. Amy Watson was having the time of her life in her laboratory studying the fossil specimens she had found in the asteroid samples. Some of the space rocks contained the preserved remains of tiny alien creatures that had lived millions of years ago when this star system was very different. Amy used her geological tools to carefully extract these fossils so she could study Them under her microscopes. The ancient alien organisms were unlike anything that had ever been discovered by human science, and Amy was documenting everything she found with detailed photographs and chemical analysis. She used sonic drilling equipment to take core samples from the fossil-bearing rocks, so she could understand how these creatures had lived and died so long ago. What Amy did not know was that Zephyrian observation posts were recording everything she did with her scientific equipment. The aliens saw her using hammers and drilling tools on the fossil specimens and concluded that the humans were conducting biological warfare experiments on captured alien genetic material. The systematic way that Amy studied the fossils looked like military research to develop weapons that could target specific alien species. The Coalition representatives were becoming more terrified as they listened to report after report about human capabilities. The humans could destroy hidden installations, detect invisible targets, communicate using unbreakable codes, and now they were apparently developing biological weapons based on aliens' DNA. Every piece of evidence suggested that humanity was preparing for total galactic conquest. Representative Korthag from the Crystalline Worlds stood up to address the assembly. His species was made of living mineral formations that communicated through harmonic vibrations. We have monitored human activities for 4 months, and every analysis points to the same conclusion, Korthag said with his voice sounding like musical chimes. They possess technology so far beyond our understanding that resistance may be impossible. The emergency session continued for 18 hours as representatives from dozens of worlds shared intelligence reports about human activities. Every piece of information made the humans seem more dangerous and more advanced. The aliens had no way to understand that they were watching routine mining operations conducted by 12 ordinary humans who just wanted to collect some valuable minerals and go home. Fleet Admiral Krathanis presented the Coalition's final assessment to the Assembly. Based on our observations, the humans have demonstrated mastery of gravitational weapons, stealth technology, biological warfare, and communication systems that surpass our best scientific understanding. They have maintained a forward operating base in contested territory for 4 months while systematically eliminating our defensive installations. The vote was unanimous and unprecedented in galactic history. 7 of the most powerful military fleets in the galaxy would be combined into a single armada and sent to the Kepler 442 system. Over 3 million alien warriors from different worlds would unite to face what they believed was the greatest threat their civilization had ever encountered. The largest war fleet in galactic history began moving toward 12 humans, who were completely unaware that anyone was upset with them. The massive alien war fleet arrived at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, just as Commander Jake Morrison was facing his own serious problem aboard the Aurora's Dawn. The ship's supply stores were running dangerously low after 4 months of extended mining operations, and Jake knew they needed help from Earth Command before his crew started going hungry or ran out of the explosive charges they needed for their work. Jake called Maya Rodriguez to the command center and asked her to send an emergency message back to Earth requesting immediate resupply support. Maya, tell them we need more mining charges and food supplies and coffee, Jake said while looking at the inventory reports on his computer screen. Also tell them that if they do not send us more coffee soon, the crew is going to mutiny, because Rachel has been complaining about the broken coffee machine for a week. Maya sat down at the communication station and began typing the emergency resupply request using the standard forms that Earth Command required for all supply missions. She sent detailed lists of everything they needed, including technical specifications for the mining equipment and exact quantities of food and other supplies. The message was transmitted through the Deep Space Communication Network toward Earth. At light speed, Admiral Kexthal was monitoring all human communications from his flagship at the edge of the star system when Maya's supply request was transmitted. The alien translation computers could not decode the human language, but they detected that the volume of human communications had suddenly increased by more than 10 times the normal amount. This looked like massive military coordination to the Alien observers. They are calling in reinforcements, Admiral Kexthal reported to the Coalition. Fleet commanders during an emergency tactical meeting. The humans have activated their deep space communication networks and are transmitting what appear to be detailed military coordination messages. Prepare for the arrival of the main human battle fleet. What actually arrived 2 weeks later was a small cargo ship called the Lucky Strike that was piloted by Captain Rick Barnes and his co-pilot Helen Martinez. The Lucky Strike was not a military vessel, but just a regular supply ship that carried spare parts and food to mining operations throughout human space. Rick and Helen had made this same supply run dozens of times before, and they thought it was just another routine delivery mission. The Lucky Strike appeared in the star system without any warning, because it used a newer type of faster-than-light drive system that did not create the normal space distortions that most spacecraft produced when they traveled between stars. To the alien observers who were watching with their most sensitive detection equipment, the human supply ship seemed to materialize out of nothing, which suggested that humans had developed instantaneous travel technology. Rick Barnes was excited to test some new mining equipment that Earth Command had sent for the Aurora's Dawn crew to try out. The new device was called a gravitational asteroid processor, and it used focused gravity fields to compress space rocks and extract valuable minerals more efficiently than traditional explosive mining methods. Rick had never seen anything like it before, and he was curious to watch it work. Hey Helen, check this out, Rick said as he activated the gravitational processor for the first time. Earth Command wants us to do field testing on this new machine to see if it works better than the old explosive charges that everyone has been using for the past 50 years. When Rick turned on the gravitational processor, it created massive distortions in local space-time that were immediately detected by every alien sensor array in the star system. The gravitational waves rippled outward from the human supply ship like invisible earthquakes in space that could be felt by sensitive alien equipment millions of kilometers away. Coalition scientists quickly analyzed the gravitational disturbances and reached a terrifying conclusion about what they were seeing. The humans were demonstrating planet-killing weapons as a show of force to intimidate the alien fleet. The ability to manipulate gravity itself was technology that the aliens had only dreamed about in their most advanced theoretical physics research. Dr. Amy Watson was absolutely thrilled when Rick Barnes delivered the specialized scientific equipment that she had requested from Earth Command months earlier. The new xenorchaeology scanning devices and sample analysis machines would let her do much more detailed study of the alien fossils and artifacts that she had been finding in the asteroid samples. Finally, I can do proper analysis of these ancient alien specimens, Amy said as she unpacked the sophisticated scientific instruments from their protective cases. These fossils are going to revolutionize our understanding of how life developed in this part of the galaxy. Millions of years ago, Amy's systematic study of the alien fossil remains was being watched carefully by Coalition intelligence officers, who were trying to understand what the humans were doing with the ancient biological samples. The aliens saw Amy using advanced scanning equipment to analyze genetic material from different extinct species, and they concluded that the humans were developing biological weapons designed to target specific alien races. Communications officer Tony Blake was finally able to establish contact with the Lucky Strike using their emergency backup communication frequencies. The two human ships exchanged routine technical information about supply delivery schedules and equipment maintenance requirements. For the first time since arriving in the star system, Tony was able to have a normal conversation with another human being. Coalition cryptographers detected the communication exchange between the two human ships and immediately began working around the clock to decode what they assumed were detailed battle plans being shared between military vessels. Teams of alien scientists used their most powerful computers to analyze every word of the conversation, but they could not understand that the humans were just talking about spare parts inventory and meal schedules. The aliens' fear reached new levels of panic when Maya Rodriguez activated the Aurora's Dawn, new deep space scanning array that had arrived with the supply delivery. The powerful scanner was designed to help locate mineral deposits in distant asteroids by sending out focused sensor beams that could penetrate solid rock and analyze its composition from far away. Maya turned on the new scanning system and began mapping the asteroid field with much greater precision than their old equipment had been capable of achieving. The sensor beams cut through space like invisible searchlights, probing every asteroid in the belt and creating detailed three-dimensional maps of the mineral deposits they contained. To the alien observers hiding throughout the star system, the human scanning beams looked like targeting systems that were preparing for a massive attack across impossible distances. The aliens realized that the humans had detected the exact position of every ship in the Coalition fleet. Even though the alien vessels were using their most advanced stealth technology and were positioned millions of kilometers away from the human mining ships, Fleet Admiral Carthanis called an emergency meeting of all Coalition commanders to discuss their impossible situation. Every analysis of human capabilities pointed to the same terrifying conclusion that resistance against such advanced technology would be completely futile. The humans had demonstrated that they could manipulate gravity-destroy targets through solid matter communicate. Using unbreakable encryption and scan entire star systems with perfect accuracy, the Coalition military leaders spent hours reviewing tactical simulations and battle plans, but every computer analysis showed the same result, which was total annihilation of the alien forces if they tried to fight the humans. Admiral Carthanis realized that the galaxy was facing an enemy so technologically superior that conventional warfare was meaningless. "We cannot win this war," Admiral Carthanis announced to the Coalition High Command in a message that would change galactic history forever. The humans possess technology that is thousands of years more advanced than anything in our civilization, and every tactical simulation results in our complete destruction. Fleet Admiral Carthanis stood in the command center of her flagship, staring at tactical displays that showed the positions of 3 million alien warriors, spread across 7 different fleets. She had spent her entire military career preparing for wars against other alien species, but nothing in her training had prepared her for facing an enemy like the humans. Every piece of intelligence that the Coalition had gathered pointed to the same impossible conclusion, which was that humanity possessed technology so advanced that fighting them would be suicide. The Admiral called a final meeting with the Coalition High Command to discuss their only remaining option. Military leaders from 47 different worlds appeared as holographic projections in the conference room, each representing billions of citizens who were depending on their decisions. The mood in the room was grim because everyone knew what they had to discuss. "We cannot win this war," Admiral Carthanis announced to the assembled commanders. "Every tactical simulation we have run shows complete annihilation of our forces within hours of engaging the human fleet. They have demonstrated abilities that surpass our understanding of physics itself, including manipulation of gravity, instantaneous faster than light travel, and weapons that can destroy fortified positions through solid matter." The other military leaders nodded in agreement because they had all seen the same intelligence reports and reached the same terrifying conclusions. General Vexangra of the Corvanian Federation spoke first, saying that her species had fought wars for thousands of years but had never encountered an enemy with such overwhelming technological superiority. Ambassador Zelkoth added that diplomatic contact seemed impossible because the humans used communication methods that could not be decoded by any known technology. Meanwhile, on the Aurora's dawn, Commander Jake Morrison was getting ready to end what he considered a very successful mining operation. The crew had extracted enough valuable minerals to exceed their mission goals by 30%, and everyone was looking forward to going home to Earth with their bonus payments. Jake announced over the ship's communication system that they would begin shutdown procedures and prepare for the journey back to human space. "All right, everyone, we have done excellent work here and collected enough rare materials to fund 3 more expeditions like this one," Jake told his crew during the final morning briefing. "Time to pack up our equipment and head home to see our families and spend all the money we have earned from this mission." The crew of the Aurora's Dawn began their standard end-of-mission procedures, which included shutting down the mining equipment, securing all the valuable materials in the cargo hold, and running diagnostic checks on all the ship's systems to make sure everything was working properly for the long journey back to Earth. Everyone was excited about going home, and nobody noticed that their routine activities were being watched by millions of alien observers. Dr. Amy Watson carefully packed her fossil specimens and scientific samples using special protective containers. That would keep them safe during the trip back to Earth. Amy was more excited about her discoveries than she was about the money because the alien fossils she had found were going to revolutionize the field of xenorchaeology. She could hardly wait to show her specimens to the research teams at Earth Command and publish papers about her findings. "I cannot wait to show these fossils to the xenorchaeology department back on Earth," Amy said to Lisa Grant while she sealed the sample containers. "These ancient alien remains are going to completely change our understanding of how life developed in this part of the galaxy, and I might even get to name some new species." Amy had no idea that her innocent scientific enthusiasm would later be cited by alien historians as evidence of humanity's systematic study of galactic species as preparation for conquest. The aliens would write books about how humans collected biological samples to develop species-specific weapons, even though Amy just wanted to learn about ancient life forms. As the Aurora's Dawn powered up its main engines for departure, every alien sensor in the star system focused on the human ship. Coalition analysts expected to witness humanity's final devastating attack the moment when the human war machine would reveal its true power and begin the systematic elimination of galactic civilization. Weapons officers throughout the alien fleet prepared to record what they thought would be the most important military demonstration in galactic history. Captain Rick Barnes aboard the Lucky Strike was also getting ready to leave the star system and return to his regular supply route duties. Rick and his co-pilot Helen Martinez had completed their delivery mission without any problems, and they were looking forward to their next assignment, which would take them to a mining operation in a completely different star system. The two human spacecraft activated their faster-than-light drive systems at almost exactly the same time and disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind only empty space and the stunned silence of 3 million alien warriors who had been expecting total destruction. The aliens watched their sensors for hours, waiting for some kind of delayed attack or hidden trap, but nothing happened. Admiral Kexel was the first to break the silence that had fallen over the Coalition fleet. "The humans have withdrawn from our territory," he announced in a voice filled with disbelief. "They demonstrated their overwhelming power and then departed as an act of mercy, showing that they could have destroyed us all but chose not to. The Coalition declared unconditional surrender 12 hours later in a message that was broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The surrender document stated that humanity had achieved total victory without firing a single shot and had demonstrated technological superiority so complete that resistance was meaningless. The aliens promised to stay out of human territory and never interfere with human activities in the future. Admiral Kexthal wrote a final report that would become required reading at military academies throughout the galaxy for the next 1,000 years. "The humans achieved complete victory through tactics we cannot comprehend," he wrote. "They demonstrated absolute technological superiority, then withdrew as a gesture of mercy. We can only hope that our surrender will prevent their return and satisfy their apparent desire for galactic dominance." On Earth, Commander Jake Morrison submitted his mining mission report to the Colonial Resource Development Office using the same standard forms that every mining captain filled out after completing their assignments. "Successful mineral extraction mission completed," he wrote in the official report. "Total yield exceeded projections by 30% due to unusually rich asteroid deposits. Recommend future mining operations in similar asteroid field environments." The report was processed by automated computer systems, filed in the standard bureaucratic databases, and forgotten within a week, just like thousands of other routine mining reports that Earth Command received every year. Nobody at Earth Command had any idea that they had just received documentation of humanity's victory in the largest Intergalactic War in Recorded History. 3 months later, Dr. Amy Watson published her research findings in the Journal of Extraterrestrial Studies under the title Evidence of Ancient Spacefaring Civilizations in the Kepler 442 System. Her paper received moderate interest from the scientific community and helped secure funding for future xenoarchaeological research expeditions to other star systems. Amy's scientific paper was the first official Earth document that mentioned the star system, where humanity had accidentally won a galactic war without anyone on Earth knowing that the war had ever happened. The galaxy had learned to be very careful around humans who appeared to be minding their own business, because nobody could predict what terrifying capabilities they might demonstrate next.